Hi, fourth block. Sorry I can't be there today. Just a review of our norms as we begin. Be in your seat with your packet out by 12:35. That means your assigned seat. If you do not have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Try your hardest. Stay in your seat unless told to move, and keep side conversations to a minimum. If you have a question or a comment, raise your hand and be positive. Since I'm not here today, we are not going to finish our dichotomous key activity that we started last class. We will finish that on Wednesday when I return. Please be kind today to the sub. We are going to work in our packets today, so you should have out your green packet. We're going to turn to this page on Metamorphic Rocks. The first thing that we need to do is put our problem in. The problem is going to be the same as all of your other problems for this section. Please fill that in now. The next thing it asks us to do on here is to define metamorphic rocks. Please look at your elbow neighbor buddy and tell them what you think a metamorphic rock is. You have 30 seconds, go. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, whatever you and your partner came up with, you're going to type in here for the definition of metamorphic rock. All right, so we are going to do with the next portion of class is a metamorphic rocks lab. You should have all of this copied down into your lab notebook. If you do not have it copied down into your lab notebook, you know who you are and you know the alternate assignment that you need to be working on. We talked about that last class. So, in our lab notebook, we should have already done, we did these two things on Monday. So we did the sedimentary rocks lab on Monday and you filled this out. And then also we did the igneous rocks lab on Monday and you should have filled this out. I'm making this on Sunday evening, so if we didn't get to that, we'll finish it on Friday. But today we're going to do metamorphic rocks. In your lab notebook, you should have the title Metamorphic Rocks. We need to do a problem. It's going to be the same as the problems that we did for igneous and sedimentary rocks. So under or near problem, we are going to put to identify metamorphic rocks. So our problem today is to identify metamorphic rocks. We are going to use a bunch of tools in our tool bags to identify the samples back there. This you should not have on your lab sheet. It's from something else. So procedure. Today you will examine each rock sample. You're going to use the hand lens to note the characteristics of each rock, including color and texture. So in the back, there's a hand lens at each station. We use the hand lens on Monday to look at sedimentary rocks. You're going to use the hand lens to look at color and texture. You will also note the size of the mineral grains and look for evidence of mineral layers. We just learned about the two classifications of metamorphic rocks, foliated and non-foliated. So you're going to look for that foliation or non-foliation. Based on your observations, then you will decide which rocks are not metamorphic and which ones are. The ones that are not, you are going to have to tell if they're igneous or sedimentary. Some indications of metamorphism. They're going to be very dense. They might have that sparkly look if they're non-foliated. They're going to be foliated or striped if they are, and dense. You will identify each of the rocks based on pages 83 through 84. Or, last class, we glued in this right here. So you should have this dichotomous key in your lab notebook. You can also use this to identify rocks. You will use the information in the text to help you decide which non-metamorphic rock is the parent rock for each metamorphic rock. You should be prepared to defend your decisions. So in your lab notebook, you should have this data and observations. Every time we have a data table, we need to make a title for it. So let's go ahead and put a title in there now. If you didn't leave enough room up top here, maybe write it off to the side, going sideways. So this is going to be what would be a good data table for this. Characteristics for rock samples. Cool. Over here it has the rock samples 7, 4, 9, 8, 15, 16, 13, and 12. The numbers are on each of the rocks in the back. However, if they've rubbed off, I'll have a picture up here of what they should look like. The first thing you're going to do after you've examined them with the Hans lens and took note of the color and texture in your brain and looked at all of these things, we're going to start classifying them. Characteristics, foliated or non-foliated for metamorphic rocks, which means that your rocks that are not metamorphic are not going to be foliated or non-foliated, because you can't have a foliated sedimentary rock. It just doesn't work. We know that sandstone is a sedimentary rock 8. So for example, for number 8, we could put Na, because we're not going to have foliated or non-foliated for sandstone. In this category, you're going to put igneous, sedimentary, or metamorphic. You may use the internet to look these up. You can use your previous labs, Igneous Rock Lab and Sedimentary Rock Lab, to look them up. They're also in the book in Chapter 3. Oops, sorry, I went too far. Chapter 3 if you need to do that. So 15, 16, 13, and 12, we're going to have to identify all of this. I gave you the rock names for 7, 4, 9, and 8. The next thing that you're going to do is match the metamorphic rock with its non-metamorphic pair. So when we're dealing with metamorphic rocks, we typically call it like the parent rock and the daughter rock. If we were to line up a couple of different people in here with their parents, do you think that you would be able to tell who their parents were? Probably, right? And what type of characteristics are going to, what's the first thing you're going to do to figure out who's whose parent? Probably what they look like. So the same thing is happening here. We have our non-metamorphic parent rocks, and we're going to try and match it up with the metamorphic daughter rocks. We always call them daughter rocks. So you're going to be looking at characteristics that are similar amongst them. They might not be exactly the same. In fact, they're not going to be exactly the same, because metamorphic rocks have undergone change, but we'll have similar characteristics, things that look alike. So here's a couple of parent and daughter rocks when we're talking about metamorphic and non-metamorphic rock. You guys are going to be matching these up in your lab, but I just wanted to give you a couple examples. So on the left here, we have our non-metamorphic rocks, and on the right we have our metamorphic. So when we're matching them up as to parent and daughter rocks, we're looking for physical features that look similar but may not be exactly the same. So the easiest one from these to match up is going to be this one right here with this. So our coal with our anthrolite, because they're both black. Although when this coal went under heat and pressure, it turned shiny and got more dense. These two obviously match up. The next ones we're going to look at are these two and these two. Make a hypothesis right now with your neighbor about which you think matches with which. So this metamorphic rock right here is Tiger's Eye, unpolished. You guys have probably seen these before. They're really pretty. It actually comes from a mixture of hematite and jasper, which is this. So these two would match. And then our phyllite is going to match this one over here. With practice, you'll get better at this. A little hint for you guys on our metamorphic rocks. It says right here in the second data table that these 4, 7, 8, and 9 are all non-metamorphic. So up here, 7, 4, 9, and 8 are going to all be something besides metamorphic. So you're going to have to look back in your packet at these other charts. So that's the chart for igneous. This is the chart for sedimentary, and figure out what type of rock it is that's not metamorphic. And then our not metamorphic rock, each one of those will match with one of these rocks, 15, 16, 13, or 12. When you're finished with the lab, please make sure that there are 2 bags at each lab station and all of the rocks are in the bag. Please also make sure that there is a magnifying glass and a metric ruler. Thank you. Have a nice day.